Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Um, Thank you for being with me, and today we will continue um, on interfaces, on assigning interfaces to the firewall, to the firewall. Um, from the last or our previous class, we were able to talk about the virtual wire, and so today we will move a little bit. Um, we're able to talk about the virtual wire. I think we made up discuss about the layer two. Like I was saying, from our last video, we touched on the virtual interface, which we call the virtual wire. Today we will discuss the layer two type of interface, and then we'll go from there. And before going to the layer three, we will discuss the v, um, VLAN interfaces as well. So let's quickly go back to our topology uh, for a little bit of explanation without wasting much of our time, so we could go directly into the configuration. So here I might have to rearrange what I have here. So our intention today is to have um, layer 2 interfaces configured uh, on this firewall. So let's just do one thing before. Let's say let's maintain our 10 our 10.0.0.0/24 network. Then we can take all this network. We can take all this network. We can take this one out as well. We can take this one out as well, and you should be okay. Maybe we can just maintain these two. We should be fine. So let's take this guy out, and let's take this guy out. Let's delete that, and so we can just move all these guys up there. We do not need them right now, so we could better understand what we intend to do. Okay, that's good. So, like I said, our intention today is to let me move this guy up here. Give me a second. All right, we should be good to go. So we're just gonna base our configuration just on this. Right. So our intention today is to assign this firewall a layer 2 interface. Meaning, remember from the definition of a layer 2 interface is a combination of interfaces, combination of interfaces, right? For the flow of traffic. So that means we combine this interface to this interface to allow whatever host that resides on this side of the network to be able to access, say the internet, right? So the one thing also that the layer 2 is good for is for VLAN configuration. In other words, we could actually configure as many VLANs as possible on your network with the help of with the layer 2 interface. We know that when we talk about the sub interfaces as well, sub interfaces are basically for VLAN segmentation, but the layer 2 can perform that kind of responsibilities. So, and it won't be wrong to say that if a firewall is assigned a layer 2 interface, technically or logically, the firewall could perform, the function of a switch. If you understand the concept about the layer 2 switch, which basically does a lot of broadcasting, that's what the firewall does as well when the firewall is assigned as layer 2 interface. So basically what we intend to do is to combine this interface and to combine this interface together and see how this host here can access the internet. So we will go straight to a firewall. This interface is a 1/1 and this is a 1/2. So D1/2 will be a layer 2 interface, and 1/1 also will be a layer 2 interface. And the gateway of this host will be whatever gateway we assign to this router. So we can go here and say, give me a second. So we can just clean everything in. So we can just go here now and say that we can go back to our firewall. We access the firewall on the GUI. The management interface of this firewall is a 192.168.2.4. So what we intend to do right now is to go to our zone and just create a zone. We can create this zone and just call it layer 2. Just these are just names. We can call it layer 2 zone, right? Zone, and here we can just name this guy layer 2. It's just a name. We can also decide to call it we can call it trust if we choose to, right? Trust zone, right? And give it what? A layer 2. We can also decide to create a zone maybe on trust as well as a layer 2 as well, right? So either of these zones should be able to work perfectly. So once that is done, one thing I want us to do is also to create a VLAN. Here we can call our VLAN. We come here, click on that, and on the network VLANs that we had, we can call it like maybe VLAN 2, right? And right now we do not have an interface or interfaces that we are combining together for the flow of traffic. So we say okay. So the next thing we want to do now is to go back to our interfaces. Now what we intend to do is that we want to choose a 1/1 as a what? As a layer 2 interface. We click on that, and then we can, let's call it trust, because on trust is coming from outside, right? That's an outside interface, right? And we give this guy a layer 2 interface, and our VLAN is the VLAN that we have created here. The one we have just created here right here, that we call the VLAN 2, right? So we pick that one up here. It's going to be there by default, and if we have any configured yet, we can just configure directly here. So we just pick on that, and our security zone is coming from what? It's coming from outside. We can choose this and trust. This one will also work, right? But we can choose the untrust zone, and advanced we don't have to put anything. We say okay. Now, one other thing we want to do is that we go to 1/2, which is our internal zone, and that we can call that is coming from our internal zone. It's going to be from trust, right? Then we give also a layer 2 interface, and the VLAN is coming from inside. I mean the VLAN is the VLAN we created right there. And we can give it the trust zone, and the advanced, there won't be anything there. We can say okay, and we can quickly go back to this zone. Let me make it uniform. I call this guy zone. Let me put this zone here so you understand what we're trying to do. So that is that. So once this guy is done, the next thing we want to do is to go to policy and do what? And make a policy. Our policy is just going to be simple. Here we could say, maybe we call this rule 1, or we can call it layer 2, layer 2, or maybe access or internet access, internet access, right? Whatever description we want to do, we can go ahead and do that. It's original packet. Original packet is, this is NAT. Sorry, we do not need any NAT here because the router itself will be NATed. So we go back to our security policy, and we create a rule. We can, name it and just copy it. I copied it over right there and I'm pasting it here. And here we can see our source is coming from the trust zone. And now where is it going to? It's going to the untrust zone. That's it. And that's it. So if we click on there, our application is ending for now. Our security URL rule in terms of services and all that. It's all any as time goes on, we will have the opportunity to solve with these and see how we can restrict the network by means of application or the services. So that is that. So this is just kind of straightforward, and that will be it. So everything is done. So we just want to wait and see that our configuration is committed, and that's it. So I would say that we can now go back to our topology why we await our configuration to be committed. So one thing is this, that we are saying if this guy we have to check one thing to be sure that we have the right IP address here and be sure we have the right gateway here. So we can come here and check. We come to edit config. This is a 10.0.0.9 IP using 10.1 as a gateway. Okay, and let's check what we have configured on our router here to see if it matches that gateway. So if we say enable show IP interface brief, so this is a 1/. This seems to be a 1/1. What I'm saying is that this interface right here attached to the router seems to be a fast Ethernet 1/0. So when we check, if we look at the configuration we have for the router, which is 1/1, is a 180.30.20.1. So what I will suggest is that we can make this network a 180.30 instead of making it a 10. Yeah, we can make it that way, and so this guy can be maybe 180.30.20.9 IP. This guy right there. So everything is based on this network, right? So in other words, when it comes to the layer 2, when we assign a firewall with a layer 2 interface, the configuration will be based on one network. In other words, that configuration will be based on a particular subnet. That is why we are not having multiple subnets. Why assigning the firewall with this type of interface. So we can go back here and do our edit. Here we can give this guy 180.30.20.9, and here we can give this guy based on what we have on the file 180.30.20.1, and we say okay. So if we power this guy up now, right, this guy is using the firewall. It's using a 180.30.20.1 as a gateway. So for this host now to be able to access the internet, it has to use the 180.30.20.1 as a gateway, right? And remember that this IP address right, or this space is it's a public space. It's not it. This router is not it. This 10.1 is not it. So there we grant this host to be able to access the internet. So if we browse there now, we should be able to access the internet, and that's it right there. We are able to access the access the internet from what we can see here. Give me a second. I have to remove something. I don't know. Okay, from what we can see here, we are able to access the internet. That's it right there. Right. So so that's the configuration of the of the layer 2 interface type of configuration. And our next class we will talk about how we can move from a layer 2 to when the particular interface is assigned layer 2, or how we can combine so many layer 2 interfaces into a layer 3 interface through the use of the VLAN interface. Thank you for the time. Subscribe and like, and if you have any questions, please always let me know. Thank you. So yeah, about before we conclude the class, let's check Let's check the logs. Before before we call it a day, let's go check our logs and see what we have. So from the logs now, you can see that this is coming from war zone, from the trust zone to the untrust zone, um, from these 180.30.20.9 IP, and accessing the destination, on this port number and all that. So we can see that. So so that is what I was going to say before I finally shut it out. That I want us to check the logs to see that everything is working fine. Yes, everything is actually working fine. You can see now with if we decide to filter the filter to we don't. I think we might not. There won't be any need for us to do that anyways because this is just one source. One particular host going to various destination IP addresses. So that is that. So we'll be able to confirm that our source here uh, can can actually access the internet. Even like if we decide to ping the internet, right? If we decide to ping the internet, we will be able to ping the internet. Say, let's go to the terminal here. I will say ping 4.2.2.2. You should be able to ping it, right? Why? Because that public space is another place, and our configuration, like I said, is based on a layer 2 type of um, configuration, interface configuration. All right. Thank you.